morning. Hopefully there will be someone here. We're at the beach and I'm hoping you can hear me okay. But I don't want to start until there's someone here to tell me that I can be heard. We'll just kind of wait a second. Give me a thumbs up, Amy, if you can hear me okay. Okay. Is the ocean really loud?
I can definitely hear it, but I can hear you fine.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. Let me pin myself and we'll get started. We're down at the beach in Alabama. So Mary's joining me this morning. So it's been a good week. It's been fun to be back together. Mary graduated from Fairmore College yesterday.
So I don't know. It was when you were close to the computer, I could hear you, but now when you're sitting on your mat, it's harder.
Okay. It wasn't using my right microphone. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
okay.
I can totally hear you.
Okay. It wasn't using the right microphone.
Okay.
All right. We'll try this again. So can you hear me now? Yeah? Okay. Yay. All right. So now we really will start. The right microphone is on because it is windy here and the ocean is super loud. But we're in Alabama, down at the ocean. And I'm just going to start with a quote from Elder Uchtdorf. This month, our theme has been receiving. And I know as moms, it's easy to be the giver. And I often have a hard time allowing myself to receive. Elder Uchtdorf said, I pray that in addition to giving good gifts, we will strive to become good and grateful receivers. As we do so, the Spirit will enlarge our hearts and expand our joy beyond measure. So this allowing ourselves to receive really is allowing ourselves to feel joy. Sometimes when we think we have to be the doer, when we think we have to make something happen, then we can't even open ourselves up to that ability to feel joyful. So that's my invitation today, is to allow yourself to receive so that you can be joyful. Let's just start here in a seated position. Just find your comfortable seat. Hold on to your knees and just find some cat and cow here. But it doesn't have to be big or forced. Just let yourself rock on your pelvis and let your spine flat extend here. And see if you can let the movement evenly through every vertebrae and in a really easy and receptive way without forcing anything. Just feel the rock of your pelvis on the floor. And your movement with your breath in a way that's intuitive. Often, when we do that heart movement, the extension of our spine, we inhale. Maybe you could make that your exhale, and then in, draw your belly back and in. Right, and so as you round your spine, inhale and receive that breath. I'm just kind of giving yourself a little rock to get. And then go ahead and switch it up and try to make some circles with your torso here. So feel the relationship of your pelvis to your lower legs and your shoulder to your spine. And then switch, just let yourself go the other way. And then after you've kind of stirred in a few directions, let yourself come to stillness just for a few breaths. After we've found a little movement to wake up our bodies, just let yourself sit still. Interlace your fingers and then push your palms away. Really your upper spine, and then inhale, reach high. Let your shoulders come in. Left, just bring your right hand outside your left knee. Lengthen through your spine and then look over your back shoulder. Look over your front shoulder. And then just square your head off with your ears. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Lengthen through your left fingertips behind you, and then just dial your chin toward your shoulder and nod a little there. Untwist your head, untwist your torso. Just ground your right hand outside your right hip and find a side bend over to your right. Push down into your right hand and then ground down through that left sitting bone. And then come on out of your, and just switch across of your, stir yourself in circles a few directions, just with the other shin in front. And then come to stillness. Interlace your fingers the unusual way. Push your palms away. Reach high, and your arms don't have to go back so far that you're pulling your ribs apart. Try to keep some integrity in your spine and lengthen through your outer armpits. Reach your palms up. And then twist to your right. Left hand outside your right knee. Right fingertips behind you. And look over your back shoulder. And then into your body. Left hand outside your left hip. Side bend over to your left. Long line from your right sitting bone out to your fingertips. And then try to twist your heart a little toward the ceiling. And then unwind. Make your way to the table. And just real quick, we'll do some wrist work. So hips towards your heels and just flex through your wrists and then rock forward and lift your palms. Back and forth. Just do one more of those. And if your toes are tucked, you can kind of get your little toe stretch in at the same time. And then pause in your table and move just your shoulders. Draw your shoulder blades together and then push the floor away. Spread your shoulder blades apart. Shoulder blades together, shoulder blades apart. I want to switch sides. Where I am. Shoulder blades together, and then shoulder blades apart. And then see if you can find some circles here, but keep your pelvis steady. Keep your rib cage steady, and then switch directions. Tuck your toes if they're not already tucked. Really feel firm on the floor, like you're palming a basketball, and then hover your knees up off the floor. And then let yourself feel kind of bouncy here. And then maybe float your right hand up and then your left hand. And then you can play with right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. And you can move on your mat or you can just stay in one place. But just feel that connection of your limbs to your core. Go back and forth a couple of times. And then we'll make our way to a downward facing dog. You can pedal out your legs. Find some length from your pinky fingernail up through your sitting bones. And then come up onto your tippy toes. Your feet need to be at least hip distance apart, and just shift your heels over to your left. And then ground through your right heel. Bend into your left knee and really push back through your right outer hip. And then you can switch. Just shift your heels over to the right. Ground through that left heel and then soften through your right knee. Come through center, onto your tippy toes, and just take a walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back into a lunge. Exhale your left knee down, and then bring your hands inside of that right foot. You can toe heel your right foot out toward the right edge of your mat. And just find some movement in your lunge. You can kind of hula hoop around, and then bend and straighten that front leg. You can walk your hands back as much as you need to, and it doesn't have to get all the way straight. You can play with pointing and flexing that right foot. And then plant your hands and just step back into a table and hips towards your heels. Really push into your shins to push yourself back up into your table. Rock your heart forward and then bend your elbows just a couple inches to lower down. And then we'll go back and forth from our child's pose to chaturanga. And really think about moving from your core. So as you push through your shins and rock yourself forward, let yourself feel stable through your spine from your tailbone up through the crown of your head. And then you can play with maybe tucking your toes. And then as you come forward and bend your elbows, floating your knees. Next time we come forward, we'll bend our elbows and then come all the way down onto your belly. Take your right hand to the top right corner of your mat, left hand back alongside your rib cage, and just push yourself up into a twisted cobra. You can look over your left shoulder and then come down and switch sides. Left hand forward, right hand alongside your rib. Push yourself up and look over your right shoulder. Now you don't want this to be crunching in your lower back, so push down into your pubic bone. Kind of feel like you're lifting your inner thighs up. And just go back and forth here. We'll do one more. And this time, as you push into your right hand's forward, you can bend into your right knee to look back at that right foot. And then just do that on the other side. Bend into your left knee. And then hands alongside your hips, push down into your pubic bone and inhale, lift everything up into a locust. Lengthen. Feel like you're squeezing something between your inner thighs and pushing it up toward the ceiling. Draw your shoulder blades toward each other, and then find some external rotation of your upper arms and then internal. So you're just turning your biceps in and out, and then find different places to point your arms. So see if they can come out to a T. As you just internally and externally rotate, keeping your spine lifted. Just internally, externally rotate till you come all the way back. And then reach your arms back, bend your elbows, flex through your wrists, plant your hands alongside your ribcage, lower your feet, and then inhale into a cobra. Then lift high. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet there. You can paw your hands. Inhale onto your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, right foot back. Exhale your knee down, and then bring your hands inside that left foot. You can toe heel that foot out to the left a little more, and then find some movement in your hips. Now, if you need to shorten your stance so you can have more space to move, then do that. Just bring that right knee forward. So after you've done some circles here with your hips, you can play with bending and straightening your left leg, and you can walk your hands back as much as you need to. And play with pointing and flexing your front foot. But just kind of think of this flossing through the length of your hamstrings. Let's take one more movement there. And then plant your hands, step back into your table, and then all the way into your child's pose. And you move through your core and just go from your child's pose to your half push-up, chaturanga, your flavor. So think about just that integrated strength from your center. You may play with tucking your toes as you come forward, and maybe even keeping your elbows bent the whole time. Let's do one more, and then we'll come down onto our bellies. Find your staggered hands with your left hand forward this time, right hand back, and then lift up, look over your right shoulder. You can bend that left knee, and then switch. And just feel that spiral line of connection here. Fluidly move. We'll just even ourselves out. So right hand forward, left hand by your ribs, and then lower all the way down. And we'll find our locust pose. Push down into your pubic bone. Lift your head and shoulders, like draw your shoulder blades together. Lift both legs, and then float your arms up. And just find that internal and external rotation of your arms. And think about doing it pretty slowly and mindfully. You can find different directions to let your arms be. And notice what places take the most work. So for me, it's like kind of out here in this V. Make your way back. Reach your hands back towards your feet. Really rotate your inner thighs up. Find space in your lower back. And then bend your elbows. Plant your hands alongside your rib cage. Plant your feet. Draw your elbows in. Pull your hands back, but without moving them anywhere, and lift. And maybe this time your legs come up, and you just have your feet. Find that external rotation of your upper arms. And downward facing dog. Pedal your feet out. You can play with your shoulders and kind of shrug up toward your ears, and then let your shoulder blades come down your back. Come on to your tippy toes, look forward. Bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back. And then ground your left heel, set up for warrior two. And just come on up into your warrior two. See if you can let your pelvis move here and feel the connection, right, of your core to your pelvis, down your legs to your feet. And then just open your arms wide, over those right fingertips. And then take your hands and interlace them in front of you like we did while we were seated. Push your palms away and reach high. Keep those front low ribs dropped. So if your arms need to be kind of forward, that's fine. Just try to keep that integrity of your spine. Ground down into your right big toe ball mound. Engage through your right glute. And then reach back into a reverse warrior here. And then come halfway forward into a side angle pose-ish place. And let's just go back and forth here a couple of times. Lean forward into your side angle pose. Lean back. Lengthen that front leg, release your arms, and then tip yourself into triangle pose. And you can just pause here. Feel that connection from your big toe ball mound to that right glute. So push into your right big toe and then ground through your left heel. Open your heart and take a breath and then bend through that right knee. Plant your hands. Step back to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg. Bend your knee and then open your hip. So stack your right hip over your left, kind of drop your right toes over to your left, and then find some lift up through your left armpit. Release that right leg down. High onto your tippy toes, look forward. Bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, right foot back. Ground that right heel, set up for your warrior two, and then come on up. And then find some fluidity here first. So see if you can move your pelvis. If it doesn't move, if you can't feel some mobility through those hip joints, then change the stance of your feet. Either widen them or narrow them. Change the angle of that back foot. And then you can find stillness. Look out over those left fingertips. And then interlace your fingers in front of you the unusual way. Push your palms away and then reach your arms overhead. Just as far as they'll go where you can keep the integrity of your spine. Take a breath in. Root down through that left big toe. Engage through your left glute and then lean back. So that left leg is supporting you. You're committed to the bend in that knee. And then come partway forward into your side angle pose. And then just back and forth. But you're not rigid through your legs, right? They're a buoyant, springy kind of support, supple. Lean back and then straighten through that left leg. You can open your arms and pour yourself into your triangle pose. Broaden through your heart. Root down through that left big toe. Engage through your left glute. Reach out through the crown of your head. And then ground into your right heel. Maybe look up. Take a breath. And then exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. Lift your back heel. Step back to your downward facing dog. And then lift your left leg. Bend your knee. Open your hip. Maybe look underneath your right armpit and wave at yourself with your left toes. And then step down into your downward facing dog. Look forward between your hands and just take your right knee and bring it to the floor behind your right wrist. And just find yourself in this easy pigeon. So your heel is pretty close to your pubic bone. You can come onto your fingertips and then feel like you're dragging your knees toward each other and let yourself come upright. Maybe even reach your arms high. And then bring your hands down and you can rock onto this right hip. And then open up into a Janu Shirshasana and side bend over to your left. I think we've been doing this a lot lately in my classes. But let yourself rock back into that pigeon and maybe reach high. And then hands come back down and then rock onto your right hip. And just move through this in your own fluid way. Next time your hands come forward into your pigeon, we'll just step back into a three-legged dog. Lift that right leg up behind you. You can bend your knee, open your hip. You could play with even maybe dropping your right toes toward the floor, lifting your right hand, and coming into a wild thing here. And then swimming your way back to your downward facing dog. Left knee will come toward your left wrist. And ground that right knee and really feel like you're pulling your knees toward each other. You can come upright. You reach high. And then hands to the floor. And then you'll rotate your left hip down. Use your hands as much as you need to. Just pivot through that right leg and let yourself find a side bend. And cycle through these just at your own pace. And if you want to hold something, you can. But we'll just go through 3 or 4 times total. I'm going to call this my last. So next time we come to the pigeon, you'll step yourself back to that three-legged dog. So lift that leg high behind your left leg, high behind you. And then bend your knee, open your hip. You can stay there, or you could play with dropping your left toes behind you, lifting that left hand, coming on the pinky edge of your right foot, and stay on those left tippy toes. Cartwheel back into your downward facing dog. Just pedal things out there. Let yourself feel recalibrated and even. And then bring your knees to the floor. Cross your ankles behind you and sit back. Take your right knee up and just cross it around your left leg. If it's too much for your hips and low back, you can straighten. And just give yourself a hug. Just find a twist. And then unwind yourself here. Stack your right knee on top of your left. So if your legs are long. You can just work on stacking that left leg, or you can have your bottom knee bent. Take a big breath in and then lead with your heart to fold forward any amount. And really kind of let your body receive the opening here. And then go ahead and come back up. And just lean back, uncross your legs, and switch the cross. So your left knee will be straight up, and your right leg can either be bent or straight. Lengthen, and then just hug your left knee as you twist to your left. Enjoy your breath, and then unwind yourself. And take this left knee and stack it on top of your right as much as you can. Lengthen through your spine, and then lead with your heart. Just let yourself fold. So either with this bottom knee bent or your legs straight. And come on up. Uncross your legs. Just scoot yourself to the middle of your mat. Hold on to the backs of your thighs as you roll yourself down, and try to do it one vertebrae at a time. So really think about just your sacrum and then back vertebrae. There's parts that want to come all the way down to the floor. Bring your knees in close. We'll focus more on lengthening our front body. So think about this forward to lift your spine. So you don't need to worry about articulating your spine up. Just push your knees forward and lengthen your tailbone towards your knees. And you can kind of let your pelvis sway from side to side a little bit here and kind of think about your spine being a hammock. And then find some stillness. Let your gaze stay at the ceiling. Maybe you interlace your fingers underneath you and draw your shoulder blades closer together. But keep thinking of those knees tractioning forward and your tailbone going the same direction as your knees. And then find a little sense of your heels pulling back toward your shoulders. And then release your hands if you've got your hands clasped. And then let your pelvis just sway from side to side like your sacrum is a leaf just floating to the floor. Just let it float down, way down. And just pause. Lift your shins up off the floor so your shins are parallel with the ceiling, and then push your hands into your thighs and just kind of traction some length. So push your hands into your thighs, back into your hands. And then release your feet down, and we'll do one bridge. One vertebrae at a time. So upper back vertebrae, middle back vertebrae, your thoracic rib cage vertebrae, until you come up onto your shoulders. Let your gaze be up, and then you can wiggle your shoulder blades toward each other. Interlace your fingers underneath you or hold the edges of your mat. And then you can play here with pushing into your heels and then lifting your heels and pushing into your toes, the balls of your feet. And then find a place to be still. Think about lifting your pubic bone, but letting your inner thighs drop toward the floor. And if your heels are lifted, just drop them down. Let your Pelvis sway as you lower. Come all the way down, hug your knees and tuck a little. And then you can rock yourself off. Let your arms go to a T. And go the other way. And then come back through center. Find any your relaxation. When you're ready, you can reach your arms overhead, wiggle your feet. And just go. And you can make your way up to your seat. Thank you, friends, for joining me at the beach. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste. Thank you, honey, for playing. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.